There's this typical move of Jesus where he uses shocking, attention-getting images that are meant to just jolt you awake, or at least they should. Right? He uses imagery where the listener, they have no option but to determine that Jesus is deathly serious at that moment. For instance, I'm sure, or at least I hope, you're taken aback when Jesus tells you to gouge your eye out and to cut off your hand if it's causing you to fall away from God. Right? He does that in Matthew chapter 5, verse 29, which I'm going to break down in a little bit, but I mean, this is just coercive language that it should just shock you, right? It should shake you. I mean, Jesus is telling me that it would be better for me to self-mutilate than to continue the things that I am doing. And if we were to sit Jesus down and to ask him, right, he'd probably just ask us a bunch of questions in return, and we wouldn't necessarily get a straight answer from Jesus just because that's how he works, right? But I think his purpose in this, and in saying it this way, is to shake you, to make you think. But regardless, right, regardless how you feel, right, whatever he is saying in that moment is deathly serious to him. There are two instances when Jesus uses this kind of aggressive imagery to illuminate how serious he was. One right here in Matthew chapter 5, verse 27 through 30, when he's talking about lust, right? And then another one in Matthew 18, a little bit later in the Gospel of Matthew, when he's talking about disrupting the unity of his followers. Personally, I don't think that self-mutilation is the end result that Jesus is looking for here, right? And when we try to read it literally, I think we're missing the point, because clearly Jesus is leading us to address something deeper, right? He's wanting us to look at something deeper inside of us. In fact, he's already addressed what the real issue is. I mean, right here in this text, right before he said, he already talked about the real issue, the issue that he's trying to get to before your hand and your eye. He's trying to get to the heart, right? Is tearing out your eye going to fix what's happening in your heart? No, of course not, right? But he has your attention now, right? And Jesus, he's actually conjuring up something far more profound in this imagery that you would pick up on if you knew the poetry in the Old Testament a little bit better, right? Because if you go to Psalms or Proverbs and you circle every time the word eye or hand or foot is used, you're about to understand what I'm going to say, right? These are very Jewish images, right? How you see the world, how you see people is done with your eye, right? What you do based off of what you see, right? How you interact with people is done with your hand. How you interact with the world that you see is done with your hand, right? And then finally, what you do over time and where it leads you, right, is done with your feet, right? Your eyes, how you see the world, your hands, how you interact with the world, and your feet, where you are going, the direction you are aimed. This is all conjuring up a deeper meaning of what we are doing within our experience of life, right? It's not just saying, cut off your hand because you don't need that anymore. It's causing you to sin. It's saying, no. Who are you in here? Right? Jesus cares more about what is happening here than he does with the actual individual parts. He cares about the person in its entirety, and he's relying on old poetry, right? Psalms and Proverbs of this imagery of the eye and the hand, the foot, to conjure up that deeper meaning. I mean, just think about this for a moment. Is there something in your life that seems indispensable to you? Right? It seems like it's actually a part of you. If there is something that seems so inwoven to your being that it's just a part of who you are, but it's destroying you, Jesus says, get rid of it. Get rid of it, right? And Jesus, he'll use this violent language to remind you that these things that are slowly destroying you and the people around you, it's affecting you deeper than you could ever imagine. Right? Your physical eye is not what Jesus cares about. How you view the world and the people living in That's the utmost importance to him. Regardless if you have two hands or one hand or no hands, Jesus cares more about what you're actually doing in the world and for others. Jesus doesn't care about your feet, right? He cares about where those feet are headed. I mean, you see what he's doing here. Jesus is always looking at something deeper inside of us. Jesus is more serious about the injustices in the world than we are. And that's hard for us to believe because, especially in the social media age and the news age and just the social justice and social movement age, we think we're the first ones to ever care this much about the human race, about humanity, about the future of humanity, and about equality and all these things. But Jesus has always cared about these on a far deeper level than we ever could. See, while we want to eradicate murder and thievery, Jesus wants to eradicate hate and greed from the human heart. While we want to eradicate sex trafficking and child sex slavery, Jesus wants to eradicate lust from the human heart. While we want to eradicate racism and genocide, Jesus wants to eradicate pride and contempt and rage from the human heart. Jesus is more serious about the evil in the world than we are. And Jesus, he wants us to take his teachings with the utmost seriousness. And not just what is seen on the surface, right? Lust and gossip and greed and hate, right? He wants us to realize that there is something deeper at work. How you view the world, how you interact with the world, right? Where the direction you are going, where you are headed, those are the things that really matter to Jesus. My name is Peyton Menzemeyer, and I'm trying to help you fall back in love with your Bible, with your faith, and with Jesus. I do that through making videos like this one. These are often connected to a blog that I have written previous to this. And you can find all of those and more at peytonmenzemeyer.com. You can see all my blogs, all my videos, and other resources that I'm creating to help you fall back in love with your Bible, your faith, and with Jesus. Until next time, God bless.